Greetings, Masandawana and all football lovers. We are back with another installment of the Yellow Corner, and this time we bring you the preview of our away trip to Mpumalanga as we take on TS Galaxy in the Calling Black Label knockout round of 16 match on Wednesday evening. Krabs, how are you?
Ke mnate ayizona.
Hey, sure, I'm not.
Ke sharp monna, why?
Joshua Cup final, Basha.
Yeah, monna, it happened. Re joue ke tla etsang?
Are you over? Are you over that defeat?
Yeah, no, like the Sunday after the cup final, I was already over that defeat. Even I was also making fun on the X timeline, so I was over that defeat within a short space of time.
Kana le reke pre-season cup. Ba bona gore ha ba re clapa itšhile ba bua ka Sundowns a re itšhile matching ele. But yeah, it's behind us, man. We move on, and yeah, another cup competition now. The Calling Black Label knockout, formerly the former sponsor Nelly Telkom knockout. So we are the defending champions, and yeah, we have a very tricky fixture, man. A very tricky fixture as we travel to Mpumalanga. They're not doing well, but it's going to be a tricky one because of certain elements that we'll touch on in this preview, man. Perhaps me and you are over that, what you call a defeat here, MTN 8 final against Orlando Pirates. Ne? Do you think the players are over it? Do you think it will be the mood in camp get down, or they are upbeat and looking forward to this match on Wednesday?
I think obviously they didn't want to lose that a cup final. It's obvious that they wanted to win, but unfortunately we lost to Orlando Pirates, who were decent on that night. So I think as a team, because of we just come from an international week, so I believe it helped them to deal with that defeat much better. So I think also Lebona, they are over that defeat and they are looking to the next game, which is up against TX Galaxy, to do better and try to perform very well and get a positive result. So I think as much as we lost, but the international week, I think it gave us time to process the loss and try to rectify the mistakes that we made on that night.
You're making a great point because now when I thought about it, I thought, we lose the cup final and then the next fixture, international break. Uh, when you lose a match, you want the next match to come as quickly as possible to forget about the defeat. You want to rectify the mistakes. But as you're putting it, I also understand, it gave the technical team, the players, ample time to maybe work around the mistakes that were made on the day, mistakes that led to us or Reska winner that final, man. But yeah, perhaps we are juggling a lot of balls. We are juggling a lot of balls, and I'm scared. I'm nervous, man. I mean, we are playing this game uh, before the end of the international break, practically, because some national teams will still be playing when we play this game. Then, because we're juggling so many balls at once, are you worried or will this catch up with us in the long run, more so towards the end of the season when we're trying to win the big fish, which is the CAF Champions League?
Yeah, I think it has a chance of catching up with us. But one thing about Sundowns, with the squad that we have, I think this is an opportunity to test our depth how good enough it is. So I think playing a lot of tournaments it also give other players a chance. But I think in the long run and towards the end of the season, I think it might slightly affect us. Hence, it is very important to wrap up the league as soon as possible so that when we play the knockout stages of CAF Champions League, already we have the main focus shifts from the league to the CAF Champions League. So I think we need to wrap up the league ASAP and have the main focus on the CAF Champions League. But it has a chance of affecting us negatively towards the end of season because of we are going to play a lot of games compared to the previous season. So I think we need to be ready to face that challenge when it comes.
As I hear you saying, point out, if we wrap up the league, it because we'll be focusing solely on the Champions League. Ne? But again, I worry at the fact that over last season we wrapped it up early. Ne? The games that we played had no consequence, ne? And maybe that level of how do I phrase this? Going into the game, facing games of consequence, it affects you because you can't juta kelelo one game. This weekend you playing the league. There's not much motivation. Next weekend you're playing Champions League. Now you have to be, you have to motivate yourself to fight. So it's a tricky one, man. And now I'm worried the number of injuries that we getting. If in a the knock it happens. The muscle injuries, they are my main worry, because one, there's a lot of the international breaks. There's another one that's coming before the end of the year. It's got after the games at 11 and 12. There's an international break. There's this AFL tournament that we're going to start playing next week. There's if we get to the final, we would have played 6 more games. There's the Carling Black Label as well, which was not there last season. So it's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be really, really tough. And yeah, hopefully we're able to juggle all these balls and we don't drop any. We will be in this game, yeah, TS Galaxy. We'll be without 7 players. 7 players who might be, one might even say, key starters at Sundowns. They will be away in Ivory Coast. Bafana will be playing Ivory Coast on Tuesday, and when are we playing on Wednesday? Can we cope without these players? Will we miss these players? Or you look at this and say, no, this is a chance for the guys who have not been playing to get some game time in a very important match. And yeah, and I think it's both. I think we'll certainly miss these guys. These are some of our best players. But at the same time, this gives different guys a chance to raise their hands. This is a must-win. This is a must-win game. Make no choice about it. It's a must-win game. So you can't approach this game fully relaxed and take it light. You have to raise your hand. You have to fight, because I think if we lose this game, then there'll be a lot of pressure. We've already lost the MTN 8 early in the season. That's one cup competition gone. If we get knocked out on Wednesday, there'll be a lot of pressure, not just on the technical team, but on top of the players as well. So do you think we'll cope without these guys, or like I said, this is a chance for the other guys to raise their hands?
I think we can try and cope without those regular players. You look at the game that we played against Stellenbosch. I think we missed quite a lot of players on that night, but still, those guys who were given the opportunity, they did very well. I think Mudiba started in a different position, and Ben 10 Zungu played 90 minutes. So it shows that the guys who have been regulars in the season, when they were given that opportunity, they did very well. So I hope in this game against Chess Galaxy, we are going to see the same thing that happened when we played Stellenbosch. But I think it is tricky because of you can't predict whether those players will show up or not. So I think we have to see and judge them after the game whether they manage to maintain that level, yeah, the regular players, or the level dropped. But the guys who are likely to play against TS Galaxy, I think they are the players who came on as subs in majority of our games. And and you look back the games that we played, I think our subs in the past have been doing well. I think if we make 3 or 4 changes, the the standard of the game drops a little bit. So I hope those guys, if they can start the game instead of coming on as a sub, maybe we might see something different in Yana from Bonnet. Because of sometimes when you come on as a sub, the game is already dead. I think the players will wanna the how can I ground we can concept game is a win. I don't have to do much. But if you start the game and game is nil, that means you have to work very hard so that the team wins and we get positive results.
Yeah, and we pride ourselves by the depth that we have at Sundowns. We tell everyone who cares to listen we have the best squad in the country, some of the best players in the continent. So there really is no excuse, to be honest, going into this game to say no, we're without Thabiso and Rapelang. No, the guys who are there, they are of the same quality. So they have to deliver. It's upon them to deliver on the day, man. So there really is no excuse not to progress to the quarterfinal of this game, man. We're playing against TS Galaxy, like I said, and when you look at their league form, they're currently 8th on the log. They've played 8 games. They've won only 2, drawing 3 and lost 3. They've scored 3 goals, conceded 6. Their goal difference is -3. They are on 9 points. Then they have had 0 wins in their last 6 league games. The average their average goals for is 0.38, which is low, man. Then the average goals against is 0.75. Looking at these numbers, perhaps, does the league form go out of the window when you go into cup games?
Sorry?
I'm saying, does the league form go out of the window when you shift your focus to the cup games?
I think yes and no, but when you are Sundowns and you analyze TS Galaxy, you'll analyze them based on their league games because of that's only games that they have played this season. Unlike Mamelodi Sundowns, who played the league and the cup competition. So I think you have to look at their performance and also their stats in the league. As much as this is a different competition and the cup is very different towards the league, and when you compare it with the league, so I think the approach might be slightly different, but you still need to look at their numbers and their performance on the league as well.
Yeah, actually, it's a tricky one, man, because players when they go into the cup games, the first thing on their minds is the bonus. That's the one. Yes, they want the cup, then they want the medals, but I can tell you now the main thing is the bonus. And December, no, Majita what the bonus. It's a December. The final of this tournament is on the 16th of December. But speaking of the bonus, I mean this cup meant 6.6 million. Wow of it. Rafael, you know this cup name back in the day in the Hoffman's Cup name, 1997-98. Hoffman's Cup, the winners were getting 1 million rand. This is over 20 years now, and you're telling me you can give the winners over 10 million. I mean, we really need to look into the amount of money these sponsors put in our football. More so, SAB, man, they're such a huge brand, man. Their turnover is up there with some of the biggest companies, man. So, yeah, it's really disappointing, man. Sorry, I derailed. I was talking about the main motivation of these players, the bonuses. So I think they approach these games differently to how they will approach a league game. League game, you lose it, then you think, oh no, we can rectify the mistakes that we made last week. This one, you make a mistake, you are out. You are out. So I think, yes, when we prepare for this game, like you said, we analyze their league matches, but we must not be fooled by their league matches and think, oh, they will dish the same type of performance in a cup game. I think that's where we need to be careful. Let's get into TX Galaxy and talk about what we can expect from them. You know, this team, in most games that I've watched, they attack a very high volume of players. Man, they're not scoring a lot of goals, but when they attack a lot of players. The two full backs go up, but mostly Hangata, Kim Velase, who goes up. But little where I am, but not as much as Velase. But at the end of the day, they both go forward. And then you have wingers who also go forward. So that's 4 players in attack from the side. And then there's because they play a 4-4-1-1. The guy behind the striker, leader striker, makes it 6 players when they attack. You also have Parker, who's offensively minded. Leona, he adds to attack. So you're looking at around 7 players who are in and around your 18 area when they attack. So we really need to be careful because they attack a high volume of the players. They very build up. They very build up. They can build up from the back when they want to. But I'm not sure if they will do that after what happened. Richards Bay, where Mbunjana was pressed and dispossessed, and it led to a goal. So maybe they'll move the ball wide to the center backs will spread, and instead of playing centrally to Mbunjana, the keeper will play to the center back, where the danger is not direct to goal, like when you play to Mbunjana and he's dispossessed, and the guy who dispossesses is clear on goal. They target the players to press, and when they press, if they target a central midfielder, the opponents, when they press him, they circle around him and press aggressively in good numbers. So maybe they'll deem one of our players as the player that once he gets the ball, the press is triggered, because they do that in a lot of their games. They did that whole gaming Royal AM. I can't remember who the midfielder or Royal AM was on that day that they targeted. Once he got the ball, it made it trigger, and then they went in. I think because they now have someone like Nokovic, who's good in the air, they will look to have the wingers or the fullbacks when they've bumped forward, crossing the ball. But the quality of the cross will determine whether Nokovic is able to punish us or not. Because there's a game where they were crossing to him, but instead of like whipping the ball, because when you whip it, the guy or header just needs to give it direction. He doesn't need to put power onto it. They were floating a lot of their crosses, and it frustrated Nokovic. He got I almost used not so good words. He got so frustrated because every time they floated it was easy for the goalkeeper to come. So yeah, the quality, if they whip it, they will give him a greater chance of punishing us. Another thing that they might do in this game is go route one, either the goalkeeper or the center backs. Go route one, looking to find Nokovic to flick on the ball, and hoping on the second ball, the receiver, the guys who are their wingers, So maybe Nokovic will drop a bit, and then they'll play long ball, high flicker. There's gaps behind us, because if you have a centre back following Nokovic to try and compete aerially with him, you leave a space behind. Perhaps this team creates a lot of chances, man. They create a lot of chances, and not just chances, a lot of great chances, man. But they are poor. They are shockingly poor in front of a goal, man. They are terrible, terrible in front of goal, man. I mean, they average 10.4 shots per game, man. They average the big chance 1.1, man. And then the shots on target 2.6. They average 2.6 per match. Their conversion rate is 4%, man. And if you were to watch this team and the number of good chances that they create, you ask yourself, what's the problem? I mean, they've scored a measly 3 goals in 8 games. So, yeah, they're not good in front of goal, to be honest. From your side?
Yeah, and I think for them, I think they need to have a good start into this game, and Sundowns will also likely want to score first. So I think the first 10 minutes of this game, I think, will be very important to TS Galaxy not to make mistakes that will lead to them being 1 goal down. You speak about their build up. I think this team should stop building up from the back because of whatever they are doing is not working. I think it's either they if they build up from 2 center backs, I think they are likely to make mistakes. Unlike when the ball moves from the goalkeeper to the fullbacks, I think there the danger might be less compared to in the middle, because of once you get this possessed in the middle, the player who wins the ball can go straight to the goalkeeper. It's 1v1. But if the ball gets dispossessed on the side, that means the angle is very difficult for the opponent to score, because of your center backs can also provide cover and try to block that player or block the ball. So I think for them, they need to change how they build up, because of they've made a lot of mistakes trying to build up from the back against Stellenbosch, where they lost 3-1. Velasco lost the ball in a crucial position where it was dispossessed, and they went straight to score. Against Stellenbosch, against Richards Bay, I mean, Mbujane was passed the ball, and when he was receiving that ball, he didn't check the player behind him. That means he didn't scan at all. He was dispossessed, and they scored. And against Cape Town City, Sunoka tried to switch the ball, but the ball was blocked. But unfortunately, because of the distance between Mayo and the goalkeeper was very too long, it forced Mayo to take a long range shot, and the ball was saved. So I think they need to stop building from the middle, because it invites a lot of pressure, and a team in previously have capitalized on that. So hopefully they will change how they build up. I think this team, as much as they are creating chances, I think most of their players, more especially up front, they have the same attributes of the players, in terms of they are hard workers. But as much as they are hard workers, you need the intelligence up front, because of I believe they work too hard and they ignore the intelligence side of football, in terms of what to do when you get to the certain areas, what a technique to use, or when to pass on or not when to pass, because of this is a team that creates a lot of chances, but their conversion rate is much lower if you compare it with the chance that they are able to create. So I believe if they can get an intelligent player around that position, I think the the other players who surround him might benefit from them. And I think if they have a guy like Tola previously last season, I think Tola was very good in that position behind the striker, was more intelligent. And also they have
Wait,
Lefa.
where's Col? Where's Colam?
Lena, I absolutely don't know. Oh gosh.
Hey, I totally forgotten about him, man. You know how tall I'm thinking, kind of like Cola. Okay, sorry, you may continue.
And they also have Lefa one. As much as he doesn't have the work ethic that other guys have, but he gives you something different in terms of the intelligence, being able to turn and create spaces for others, and also to make those final ball that might lead into goals.
You speak of Lefa. I think Lefa hasn't played since that Royal M match. He was one of the players who made a terrible decision in the 18 area. They had a chance. I can't remember whether it was from their build-up or they dispossessed Gala Royal M. It was, I think, 2-on-1 or 2v2. And he didn't know whether to shoot, go for goal, or play the pass to a teammate, and he just played it in between. He rolled on the floor because he learned about I'm only pulse. You speak about them needing an intelligent player in the final third. They had a certain player by the name of Villagas, and they didn't use him. So I think Villa would be taking those chances, man, if they had him this season, man. Yeah. What do you expect from Sundowns, Hubs?
I think we are likely to come with a different team because of their chances that we might make a lot of changes. So expect the guys because of you have been playing a lot of games. I expect you to do simple stuff. Don't try to be extraordinary. Do simple stuff. Once you get into the game and the minutes, that's where you become more relaxed, and that's where we are likely to see players getting better as the minutes goes on. So I spoke about the first 10 minutes of the game. Sundowns, I think in the past 4 games, they play the first 10 or 5 minutes with high intensity and forcing the opponents to make mistakes. I think it's likely to happen against TS Galaxy, where in the first 10 minutes we apply pressure and we try to force them to make those errors. And against TS Galaxy, because of we spoke about how poor they are in the build-up, I think setting pressing traps will help us, and also closing the passing lanes and cutting down the attacks. That means you minimize the chances that they have on the ball, because of if they have the ball and there are a lot of options, that means they can build up and attack. But if you close down those options, that means you force them to play differently, and that might lead into them making mistakes. And they play with a double pivot of Mbunjane and Parker, and they have four offensive players. So I think we need to attack that double pivot. It's either we overload it, or we stretch them so that they are not close to each other and they create spaces between them. And they are a team that loves to play offside trap, and the offside trap, it is not well organized. So I think in this game we need to get to the final third and play those defend breaking passes and try to play the ball between the defense and the attack, so that we force them to defend facing their own goals.
Yeah, you've summed up everything, Handlene. But I want to also touch on the Parker Mbonjan double pivot. Doesn't make sense to me, man. It forces Mbonjan to work to work overtime, because yes, Parker has endurance. He's one of those players. He's not lazy, but he's not defensively minded the same. Okay, let me not use this example. I always use a certain team a lot when I talk about. I always reference a certain team, so let me not go there. So I think we need to impose our game on them. We need to overload that middle of the park and overwork them, because, like I said, Mbonjani is forced to do a lot of work. And when you're constantly chasing and not being on the ball, once the legs go, let the mind go, you are done. So we need to do that, and Reba Matisse more in that central part of the field. Ne? How do we do this? I think Riva needs to step up into the middle field. Man. He hasn't been stepping into the middle field a lot recently. He's been practically playing right center back in a majority of the games. Yes, I understand like game Pirates final, you have to take a lot of things into a context, like it might have been risky, the fact I had a wind and the quality of the opponent. But these guys, man, TS Galaxy, he needs to step up into the middle field and take charge of that middle field. And with him, we can be able to overwork these guys. I mentioned how their fullbacks always overlap. I think it will give our pacey players a lot of room on the wide channels. Hence, I have two lineups for this game. I'm still not sure which one I'm going to go with. But I think I'm going to go with the second one, which has Nkuli Masego in it, just to exploit the spaces that these guys leave when they go forward. Maybe we can even allow them to cheat, not drop really deep to help the defense, but make sure they are by the halfway, they have center line, so that once we regain possession, we play the ball to the channels that those guys can exploit. Give me your lineup, perhaps.
I'll start Riyadh. I'll have Morena, my right back. I have Riva, Lebusa, and I'll start Ngubeni in this game. I'll also in the middle I'll have Zungu Lemkolisi. Then my front four will be Mendieta, Mabowe, Nku, and Shalulil.
No Alende.
Nah, I'd give him a break. As much as we come from international break, but I want to see other guys being given minutes in the game of consequences like we have highlighted.
Can I mention both my lineups, or should I just mention the one?
Mention a really too good.
The first one, I have Riyadh, Morena, Riva, Lebusa, AB. And then Zungu, Kulise, Alende, Mendieta, Ribeiro, Shalili. That's a 4-4-2 diamonds. Ne? The second one, okay, give 4-4-2 diamond, but obviously I'll have Riva stepping up into middle field. The second one, I have Riyadh, I have Morena, Riva, Lebusa, AB. The defense is the same, ne? But I have a double pivot here, Zumule, Alende, Mohave, ne? And then my front four, Ki Nku, Shalulile, Ribeiro, Le Maseko. I don't know which lineup to go with. But because of what I said, those guys, their fullbacks and their wingers are taking in numbers. I think I'll go with the second one. Score prediction?
I think we'll win 2-1.
I also think we will win 1-2. That's the correct way of saying it. 2-1. You start with the home team and the away team. Can't be teaching you everything. Go to the ball or I know. On a lighter note, I wanted to ask you this question. Have you seen anywhere in the world where the whole technical team suits up like TS Galaxy?
Man, even the goalkeeper coach, I think it gets to be the Italian national team. I can't remember in which competition, but with Italians, we know that it is very common, and because of most of the brands are manufactured from Italy. But in South Africa, man, I think it's something that is very unusual, and I think it's kind of nice, man.
Our former neighbor, Datem Taum, Narenga, the coaches are the suit. I'm just saying, I'm not gonna mention it here. I'm just saying, when you're actually right. The Italians, always suit up. I was watching some podcast and Boateng was talking about how Kana among this AC Milan. It's Seedorf. How Seedorf, he's not Italian, he's Dutch, but how Seedorf always came to training up very Sutu each and every day. Yeah, and another team that used to suit up, I think in early 2010, the Spain national team. I know really that lady who was the team manager, Lena Nashapa Sutu that benching. So it's not very common this thing you're wearing the Sutu benching, but yeah, that's that Masanda one and all football lovers. Please continue subscribing. We're nearing 1,000 subscribers, man. So let's keep pushing. Let's chat with regards to this on the comment section of how many which changes would you like to see in this match and your predictions. Do you think we will win this cup after you've missed out of the MTN 8? And next time you see us will be on Thursday when we preview the away trip to Angola as we take on Pedro de Luanda in the African Football League match or competition next week. I'm rambling. I've been speaking for way too long. Sharp, Masanda.
Sharp, guys. Sharp, Ezo.